We now take you behind the scenes of the Harris campaign to take a look at a secret meeting between her and her campaign manager.
Kamala, it's been 6 weeks since anyone has seen you. Your numbers are looking really, really bad. I really think we need to get you out there again. Do you have anything to talk about?
Okay, so I'm going to go out there and talk about my campaign's goals as well as mine and Joe's accomplishments, okay?
Ma'am, you can't do that. Otherwise, you'll out yourself as a radical.
But what about all our accomplishments?
No, that's not going to work because you guys.
Excuse me, I am a woman. You can't say anything like that.
Oh, excuse me. I am so sorry. I did not mean to misgender you or be so uninclusive. You all have accomplished nothing that the people will be happy with.
Okay, I have an idea. How about I talk about the border?
No, do not mention the border. Have you forgotten that you were in charge of that, ma'am?
No, but did you fall out of a coconut tree?
So I'm not even going to touch that, ma'am. But trust me, you do not want to bring that up.
Oh, okay, I have it. How about I tell them my plan to not tax tips?
But everyone will know that you stole that from Trump. You're going to have to come up with something and not be so abrasive.
Abrasive? How dare you? How dare you? You can't say stuff like that to me.
Ma'am, please. I really didn't mean it like that, okay? Please.
No, but if you want Donald Trump to win, then you keep saying stuff like that. Otherwise, I'm speaking. No, okay. I heard it that time too. So, 6 more weeks of hiding?
At least, ma'am, at least another 6 weeks. Vote for Trump unless you want to hear this for another 4 years.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
All right, today we're going to be talking about Tim Walz's record, and I also want to say that I'm going to try to cut to the chase. I am not going to be guilty of circumlocution today, so let's get right into it. I'm going to be exposing his record, but I want you to keep in mind, I'm not doing this simply to just get one over on the Democrats. My intention behind this is simply for educational purposes and to compare and to contrast between what the Republicans in the vein of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance would offer you versus what people in the Democratic camp would offer you in the form of Harris and Walz. However, because Harris and Walz have no policies to speak of other than the two that they've tried to steal from the Trump campaign, and the food price control that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I have to compare and contrast off of their records. So what does their records say about Tim Walz? And by the way, before I begin, I also want to give a little bit of a warning that I know you may not be used to me having some vulgar language being said. Not that it's going to be coming directly from me, but in the form of quotes. And so if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but I just want to make crystal clear what these people have said. And I'm going to read for you verbatim because that's what I typically prefer to do. So that way you can see the record on full display and then you can make the choice for yourself. All right, so first of all, we're going to take a look at George Floyd and the aftermath of and how it was all handled by Tim Walz during the Summer of Love. And the first one, I'm going to actually have on the screen a montage that was taken from Twitter during this time. And it's going to actually share a lot of before and after photos of what happened during the Summer of Love. And of course, the aftermath of it and all the destruction that all these rioters have brought and how Tim Walz handled this. And in fact, there's a little bit of a excerpt that I have from CBS News. Let's see. The title of this is Kamala Harris's running mate Tim Walz accomplishments, setbacks during his time as Minnesota governor. This comes from CBS News. and it's written by Stephen Swanson. And so, what I want to do, again, all the description or in all the links are going to be in the description below, so you could go check it out for yourself. See that I am not a liar, and that you could go and see if these things, if they hold water. If it, that you could see it in the full context of what's being said here. And I want to do this for a purpose, so that way you can see that. Look, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. I'm not just trying to assert my own thoughts on this, that you can go and see the quotes for yourself. But right here in the murder of George Floyd in its aftermath section of this particular article, it says that conservatives lashed out at Walz for his delay in the historic activation of the Minnesota National Guard, which helped restore order on the Twin City streets during the unrest in May 2020. The Democratic Minneapolis mayor Jacob Frey said that he asked Walz for troops 3 days before he gave the green light. 3 days. 3 days before Walz finally sent any backup over to Mayor Jacob Frey. Now keep in mind that this is a Democratic mayor, the Democratic mayor of Minneapolis. He asked for troops, and this was what Walz had said to him. I don't think the mayor knew what he was asking for. I think the mayor said, I request the National Guard. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks. And there we have what lies within the Democratic psyche. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about the voter base. I'm talking about the Democrat elite. These are the people at a drop of a hat. They'll do anything that they need for themselves. But when it comes to helping out other people, when it comes to helping out the cities around their states, when it comes to helping out their constituents, they are delayed, they are slow. And on top of that, he went and he denigrated these the fine people of the National Guard. He said, again, quote, no, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks. Cooks. That's what he said. So keep in mind that this is the type of thinking that they have toward you. This is the type of thinking that they have toward even their Democrat base. This is the type of thinking that they have toward the people who serve us in the military as well. Also, his wife is a weirdo who opened up the windows during the Summer of Love so she can smell the burning tires. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this article here on the screen. Okay, next on the list, I want to take a look at what were his COVID policies during the lockdown of 2020. Well, really, what was it? 15 days to slow the spread, and that ended up turning into 2+ years and even longer for a lot of Democratic-run states. So to preface this whole section here, I want to call a little quote from Tim Walz to your attention. This comes from August 22nd, 2024, from the National Review, from an article titled Walz's False Freedom. Quote, in Walz's twisted moral universe, mind your own damn business isn't actually about letting neighbors make their own choices. It's a justification for the unfettered ability to kill unborn babies. Now, please don't misunderstand me, because I know we're talking about COVID, but it's funny of how the Democrats, when it comes to choices on yourself and your body, well, at least when it came to the time of COVID, it was no, it is you have to get the shot, you have to get the vaccine, or else you can't work. You have to comply to our curfew laws and our curfew rules, or the inability to be able to gather 10 or more to a church service, or be able to sing without your mask, or whatever other stupid regulations that they rolled out during COVID. So again, I get that this article was talking about the abortion rights and everything, and that's not lost on me. But the key thought that comes from this is the fact that he was saying to mind your own damn business, except when it comes to the things that they want to push. Because when it came to COVID, hey, you know what? You have to get a vaccine. Yeah, but when it comes to anything else, hey, you got to mind your own damn business. Hey, when it came to running your own business, you had to make sure that, of course, you have to get up, you have to go to work every day. but that wasn't allowed during COVID. But hey, don't forget that Tim Walz, mind your own damn business. Don't forget about he was enforcing these curfew laws through the police thugs. I would like to preface that by forcing them to comply by shooting people with paintballs. But hey, mind your own damn business.
The police say, get in the house, you'll hear several commands, and then you'll hear, light them up, and then that's when you get the fire. We'll play it again.
You know, this is...
Get in your house now! Let's go! Light them up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in! Get in!
It rings hollow that when they say things like this, when it pertains to my body, my choice, but then when it comes to COVID, again, it was our body, our choice, but that didn't make a whit of difference to the Democrats because, again, now we want to go back over what Tim Walz said and over his record. And keep in mind, this entire time he was saying, hey, mind your own damn business, at least when it comes to women's bodies, but it made no difference when it came to your own volition and you losing your job or you being jailed for 90 days or you having to be separated from your family and your loved ones while they were dying in a hospital all by themselves. But hey, just keep in mind, mind your own damn business. Again, this is Tim Walz's words, not my own. All right, the next thing that I want to go over Tim Walz's record over is the abortion rights. The abortion rights that was, according to this, okay, here we go. According to this article of CBS News, once again, I'm pulling from that same article that I mentioned earlier. This is going under the abortion rights section. It says, in a 1995 ruling, the Minnesota Supreme Court upheld abortion rights in Minnesota. In January 2023, Walz signed the PRO Act, the Protective Reproductive Options Act, into law, making abortion a fundamental right, as well as access to contraception, fertility treatments, sterilization, and other reproductive health care. And Tim Walz, he has now legalized abortion in his state and has made it a sanctuary state for abortion, but up to radical amounts of time. And just to prove my point, there will be a little article on the screen where you can see of how far along can one get an abortion in Minnesota. Here, I'll just read it. Is abortion legal in Minnesota? Yes. Yes, abortion is legal in Minnesota. There is no limit. Walz did this in response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade back in 2022. So I just wanted to bring that up to your attention. Whether you agree with what he did or not, that is completely up to you. Just for the record, I am pro-life. I am very much against the killing or the abortion of babies. As you could probably hear, my own little chunky monkey on my lap right now. And so, no, I am very much against it, but it's up to you to, what you believe. Of course, everybody's going to end up voting to your own conscience. And so whether you believe in, pro-life or pro-choice, or if you're, maybe pro-choice with, heavy regulations or, whatever it may be, I mean, that's up to you. But all I'm simply trying to do is just, show you what Tim Walz's record, is on abortion. All right. The next one that I want to, the next point that I want to hit here is, Tim Walz and his making his state, Minnesota, a sanctuary state for child sex changes. This article comes from the National Review, and I want to read a part of this article here. Quote, dubbed the Trans Refuge Bill by supporters, the law grants legal protection to children who travel to Minnesota for so-called gender-affirming care, including puberty blockers, reconstructive genital surgery, or genital mutilation, and hormone therapy, as well as medical practitioners who provide it. The law prohibits Minnesota courts or officials from complying with the child removal request extraditions, arrests, or subpoenas related to the child's sex change procedures received in Minnesota, even if they're a crime in another state. End quote.
Meaning that if it is a crime in another state to have these so-called gender-affirming care, or what I prefer to call it as genital mutilation for your children. Hey, it's one thing if you're an adult. I'm totally against it, by the way. But it's one thing if you're an adult and you're going to make the choice for yourself. But it's another thing if children are going to do it. You're going to ruin their lives. You're going to ruin their futures. You're going to ruin their bodies. You're going to ruin any opportunity for them to ever mature sexually, to mature to even reach the sexual climax when they're older, to have children. I mean, my goodness, you're going to ruin their lives if you go through with anything like this. But going back to this law, it prohibits the law prohibits Minnesota courts or officials from complying with child removal requests, extraditions, arrests, or subpoenas related to the child's sex change procedures received in Minnesota. So if you come from a different state, like for instance, like Texas or Florida, where something like that would be illegal, and then you go and seek this sanctuary over in Minnesota, well, Minnesota does not have to turn you over to their, over to those states, or over to the parent who is, perhaps begging for this not to happen to their child. Minnesota does not have to comply with this because it is legal. This particular thing is legal in one state, but it is made illegal in another. And so instead of them being able to, go back and maybe, grow up a little bit and make that change later on in life, once they're an adult, nope. If it's going to be wanted by maybe one crazy mother or one crazy father, and then the other side doesn't want it, well, that's too bad, because those people over in Minnesota are not going to have to comply. In my opinion, I just want to say this. It kind of sounds a lot like those. You remember those laws back in the early 1800s when the Democrats, by the way, when they made certain laws that were protecting their rights to slavery, and whenever the some slaves would cross the Mason-Dixon line, they would have to be returned back to the state of origin, where they would have to continue to languish in slavery. I just want to say it just reminds me of that. You could say I'm wrong or whatever, but I'm just saying that's my opinion.
Though there's one more item in this gender-affirming bullcrap that I would like to expose.
This is a directive that stated agencies and officials to decline helping other states that would try to penalize individuals and entities seeking gender-affirming healthcare services. He advocated adding the so-called gender-affirming care and abortion to the state constitution, and signed a bill that removed language in the Minnesota Human Rights Act explicitly stating that sexual orientation does not include pedophilia or physical or a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. I know it's confusing in the way that it's worded here, but basically by signing this bill, he is adding, saying that this coverage, saying that the sexual orientation does include pedophilia or a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. He is adding this into the Minnesota Human Rights Act. This is something that they want. Listen, I don't care what you say. I know that some people don't like the word. I know that some people try to say PDF file or whatever. It's no. He's look, once Tim Walz got his pedophile loving mitts right here on to this executive order and onto this bill that he signed into law, he's protecting these pedophiles. He's allowing it to be added to the sexual orientation list over in their state laws. And I'm sorry, but there is no freaking way that I ever want to raise my children over there. So I wanted to bring all of this to your attention to show you what Tim Walz's record is. It's one that, of course, I mean, there's still much more that we could go over, but
for the sake of brevity and for the sake of time, I just wanted to hit over the main, I guess, travesties that this man has committed. From the summer of love to the COVID policies to the business shutdowns during COVID, the jailing of offenders, the usage of paintballs on his own citizens to force them into submission so that they would have to comply with the COVID shutdowns and comply with the curfews that he had instituted during that time, to turning Minnesota into a sanctuary state for child sex changes, for his stances on abortion. Oh, and by the way, he's also a socialist. But don't take my word for it. Here, check for yourself.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
I hope that this has been educational for you and, of course, informational, because as you look through each one of these points that I have, of course, all the proof is going to be down in the description below. You could go look at those links for yourself. You could look at everything in the entirety of its context. In fact, I strongly urge you to go and do that. My point in bringing all of this to you is this. Do you really want to live under Tampon Tim's and Kami Harris's administration for the next 4 years? Do you really want to live under everything that they have? Well, I should put it this way, that the Harris/Biden campaign has put us through in the last 3.5 years, or would you want something better? They've been saying that they want to do something better. We are trying to get away from what they have instituted. There is no going back as to what they say. We don't want to go back to, I don't want to go back to the Harris administration. I'm tired of living under it. It sucks. Inflation is ridiculous. Nobody can afford housing. I mean, I'm sure that the list can go on and on and on of all of what the Democrats have done. Of course, you have it all right here in this video. You have it all in the previous video as well. But what I want to do is not only give you what they stand for, but now to contrast that with what Donald Trump stands for. And so in the next video, we're going to go over Trump's policies and see how much better it can be compared to the Kami Harris administration and Tampon Tim. But you let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.